Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Studio. Today I'm here to review When Calls the Heart, Season 12, Episode 2, and it is called You Get What You Give. Overall, I thought this was a good episode. I wouldn't say it was like I loved it. I mean, I liked the premiere a lot. I thought there was a lot of great moments in it. Even though it was very heavy on Jack, I like how everything got resolved. So this episode, I feel like scaled things back a lot, and to me, it felt like a filler in a way, like a lot of filler stuff happening, not a whole lot to advance the plot. I will say the Lucas storyline, in my opinion, really advanced, and I was surprised with how much it did actually. I think that was kind of like the saving grace of this episode. I found his whole thing super interesting. Um, but let's just kick things off with Rosemary's plot. So basically, she has her new show coming up. It's her first ever one, and she doesn't have a story. She's freaking out about it. Um, and basically Elizabeth's trying to help her, but Rosemary's just being Rosemary was in her element in this episode. She was hilarious. Um, but it basically she uses the comic books as her story, which I feel like should have been like an obvious thing all along. But yeah, she uses comic books as her story, and it goes like decently well. I mean, at first everyone just agrees that comic books are like fine and whatever, and then Florence comes in and says she hates them. So I mean, I guess to me, I wouldn't find that topic very entertaining, but I also think in the day and age we live in, there's always something interesting happening in the world. I feel like it's way easier to report rather than back in the day where things were different and probably not as much to actually talk about. I guess that was kind of like realistic. But I would not particularly want to listen to a whole hour of just about comic books. I would pass on that. Um, but yeah, I'm glad it went successful for her and whatnot. To me, I don't know. I don't know if like the radio show is my favorite plot line for her, but I did read somewhere that she's going to be doing a play later in the season, and that I'm down for. That's like classic Rosemary. And I've been waiting for them to bring the theater in for Rosemary. I still want Lee to build her that theater. I'm hoping he does. But I'm glad, or I'm looking forward to that plot line later on. I'm just not, I don't think this is my favorite storyline for Rosemary. I mean, sure, she's hilarious in it, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll get better. I assume we'll stick to this plot line for a while of her in the radio show. It's just not my favorite. I don't know. Um, so that was a main plot line. We also have a plot line with Elizabeth and Nathan. Elizabeth in this episode was mostly like a supporter for people. You know, she was supporting Rosemary. Um, she told Allie, Allie's kind of struggling with her future because Angela and Emily are both, you know, going to go off to college and they're talking about their future, and Allie feels a little bit left out and like she doesn't really know what her purpose is. Um, and Elizabeth says journeys don't always start with a destination, which is a great quote. So I am curious. It seems like this is going to be a big season for Allie, and I say that because they're introducing at least one love interest for her. So I really do think she's going to grow a lot this season. Like to me, I feel like when they had the storyline with her and her dad, that really felt like she's not a child anymore. You know, she's growing up. And then we had this upcoming plot line is really going to like show, yeah, she's a teenager. So I'm looking forward to the Alice storyline for sure. And then we also had Nathan training Oliver. Not much progress here. In fact, I found their scenes kind of boring, which I usually like Nathan's scenes a lot. Um, but we'll see. Oliver seems like he's definitely hiding something about himself. I don't know what that is. I assume we'll find out at some point. You know, they're clearly setting up a relationship between Oliver and Allie, so that's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be, I think, a good plot line, especially with the Nathan of it all. So definitely looking forward to that. But I don't think a lot of progress happened. I mean, I guess it does kind of bring Oliver into the mix and make him feel like he's a part of like the Hope Valley and something by having him at that table at the end. So that was nice, and seeing him start to build those connections. So I mean that was good, and it seems like Nathan's warming up to him too. So I'm just curious whether the alley of it all is going to cause a rift between Nathan and Oliver, and I think it will. Um, but we'll see about that. Um, and then we have Joseph and Henry are going to be starting a hazelnut business. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I literally said last episode I hope Henry's storyline this season doesn't revolve around hazelnuts, and of course my wish came true. It looks like that is going to be the case. Now maybe this was just a mislead, but to me it seems like that his storyline's going to be the hazelnut business. So I don't really know how to feel about that because. I definitely I want Henry to have a good storyline because he's one of my favorite characters, and I just don't think the Hazelnut storyline is gonna give him what he deserves as a character. But I could be wrong. I'm probably quick to judge here. Maybe it'll turn out to be something really good, or maybe it'll be end up there being issues with the business or something. I guess we're gonna get to see him and Joseph working together in business. So I do wonder if like maybe parts of Henry's old business self will come out and that's possible, but to me, I just feel like hazelnuts are such a low stake thing that it doesn't no, it doesn't seem realistic for like Henry to like turn to his old ways. But also maybe it's a good thing and it like shows that his character wants us to start small and move up. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not super sold on Henry's storyline, but I like him and Joseph's friendship. So, I think we'll see how it all goes down. Um, but that's kind of like the main plot lines in Hope Valley. Again, I would say it definitely felt like some of the stuff was filler, but I do like how we got to the ending with like Oliver starting to like develop friendships with like people in that inner circle. Um, and I like the classroom scenes a lot too. And I definitely feel like this is the most time we spent in the classroom or with the kids in an episode since like it's been seasons, like pre-COVID years of the show. It's been a long time since we've seen it. So I did like all those scenes. Again, I thought it was kind of filler and not like anything super engaging. Um, but overall, they were good scenes. I did see a theory somewhere that because Allie was showing interest in like park ranging, maybe she could be a park ranger for the national park. That could be interesting. I do feel like they kind of had that scene in there for maybe a reason. So definitely looking forward to that. I thought I liked all the scenes with the kids and how they were helping Henry with the hazelnuts too. All of that was good. So no complaints about that. Um, Now we kind of get to the meat of the episode, which is Capital City. First of all, Lee does not like Edwin. He cannot stand him. He does not want him involved in Lucas's life at all. I don't Not that I blame him. I can't stand Edwin either. Edwin brings in Edie Martell. She's from the Cattlemen's Association, and she says that there's a bit of an issue. The land that they're going to do the national park on turns out is a shared use land with ranches who have their cattle on there. And if Lucas builds his national park or does it there, that means all the ranchers are going to have to find somewhere else, and it's going to put ranchers out of business and all of that. I did feel like why didn't he already know that this place was occupied with ranchers? So I thought that was kind of odd. And like, because it wasn't Edwin who didn't tell him because he wasn't working with Edwin at the time. I guess it was like I don't know if that was just a poor choice on his part. I don't know. That's definitely kind of odd though, I thought. Um, but I did see some sparks between Lucas and this Edie girl, so we'll see. I'm not complaining. They look like they could be cute together. They look very similar. Or not that they look, not they don't look very similar. They just have, I think, a lot in common, and they could work really well as a couple. Um, Especially because Lucas and Fiona is still my greatest ship loss to this day. I just don't think it's going to happen because Fiona's not on the show anymore. So we'll see. I'm definitely looking forward to this Lucas and Edie relationship, though. Um, but the problem is that Lucas now wants to make the national park a lot smaller or put it on hold just while he tries to figure out what all of this is. Um, and by doing so, Lee's upset because it means Lucas isn't keeping his promise. And he's just like, why am I even here if you're not going to keep your word? And, I still think it's just kind of odd that Lucas had no idea about this shared use of land. This isn't even just the beginning talks of the project or of the project. This is like a project, and they literally went there to try to get it up and running in like a lot of people already sounded interested in the project. So to me, the fact that it took him this long to hear something about that he can't even use the land was just kind of odd to me and a bit like out of nowhere and like, oh, clearly trying to create conflict. You know, if it happened like episode one, maybe it would make more sense, but Lee pretty much says like until you can learn how to be an actual leader in this, I'm done. So I don't know. I don't know. I do think Lee will end up back with him at some point. Just to, keep that connection to Hope Valley with Lucas, especially because it doesn't seem like Henry's going to be working with him. But I think Lee had a point. He doesn't have time for Lucas to just be wishy-washy about this whole business thing when he's literally sacrificing family time to help him out. So I'm hoping that Lucas won't let Edwin get like in his skin too much because I really cannot stand Edwin. So the less I have to see him on my screen, the better. But hey, it was definitely the most interesting part of the episode for sure. And then we did have the whole Mike and May plotline I literally forgot about because it was just kind of pointless. I mean, they just have their apartment leaks. There's this whole argument who left the windows open. I mean, I was just like, bruh, boring. So I wasn't too interested in their scenes, but they're cute together. I still think so. So, I do think it's kind of hard to write storylines for couples once they get married, and we saw how that went with Jesse and Clara. Um, so their storyline was terrible after they got married. So let's hope that there won't be a repeat for that and for this season for Mike and May. But that's all I have to say. Comment down below what you thought of episode two, and I will see you guys soon. So thanks everyone for listening, and bye everyone.